Looking for change. Madison's East Side neighborhoods gathering at a community safety meeting tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Maria Lizignoli. The alder of the district says the goal is to address the patterns of violence. Let's bring in NBC 15's Cameron Kelly. Cameron, you first brought us an exclusive interview with the mother of the mother who lost her child due to gun violence in one of those neighborhoods.
That's right. And tonight I sat in on a meeting that brought the community new information. Leaders say not having a strong community is a risk factor for violence. After two recent deaths by gun violence in the Grandview neighborhoods, the alder of the district hosted a meeting with a panel of leaders on community safety.
We cannot just have these meetings when an incident happens.
Last month, a 15-year-old was killed and her 14-year-old sister was among 3 others that were shot at the Harmony Apartments. Property managers say they are working with MPD to meet the needs of the tenants.
There's other things that we're doing from an environmental standpoint in terms of adding additional cameras, etc., things that we think will continue to aid in being a deterrent.
The mother of the 15-year-old who was shot and killed says she does not feel safe in her apartment.
I feel like since my daughter got murdered over here on this property, I feel like it has no safety changes been made. I feel like nothing has been said, nothing has been done to make it more safer.
She pleads for city officials to provide resources for the youth.
Lack of involvement in conventional activities and feeling disconnected from your community is also a risk factor for violence.
Kids in the area express they want alternative outlets after school.
What we're hearing from students right now is that they're looking for after-school activities. They don't know where to go, what to do in this feeder pattern, and so right now we are advocating for after-school activities for 4K through 12.
Madison leaders believe this meeting was the first step in making tangible changes.
I think also what has to happen is that it has to go outside of just these 4 walls. It needs to happen inside of that community long term.
And after the panel discussed their knowledge of what is happening within the neighborhoods, they opened the floor to the community to ask questions. Live in the studio, Cameron Kelly, NBC 15 News.